Okay, so what exactly is the United Kingdom? Is it a country? Is it England? And where does Great Britain fit into all of this? Look, if you've ever felt just a little bit confused by these terms, you are definitely not alone. It's one of the most tangled messes in geography and politics. But don't worry, we're about to untangle it one piece at a time.
So are they the same? Are they different? Is there some secret society of Brits who quietly judge anyone who gets it wrong? Well, the short answer is kinda. They are different, but they're also kind of the same, and yeah, that secret society probably exists. But hey, by the end of this, you'll be able to explain it all back to them.
All right, to get our bearings, let's start with the big one, the name you see on a world map, the political entity that this is all about, the United Kingdom.
Okay, so right off the bat, here's the first mindbender. The United Kingdom isn't really one country. The best way to think about it is as a country of countries. It's one single sovereign state on the world stage, but inside, it's actually a team of 4 distinct, co-equal nations all rolled into one.
So, let's meet the team. First, you've got England. It's the biggest, has the most people, and it's the one that everyone mistakenly calls the whole thing. Then, up north, you have Scotland, and over to the west is Wales. And then, across a little bit of water, you have Northern Ireland. Now, what's really interesting is that while they're all in the UK, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland each have their own parliaments with the power to make their own laws about local stuff. And, like any family, these 4 don't always see eye to eye. There's a really long and complicated history of rivalry here. The Scottish, Welsh, and Northern Irish can sometimes feel like England is the overbearing big brother. And, well, as this cheeky quote suggests, the English might have their own stereotypes about the others. It's a constant dynamic, but at the end of the day, they all carry the exact same British passport. And if you were to actually look at that passport, you'd see the country's full, ridiculously long name, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And boom, hidden right there in that mouthful of a name is the clue we need to solve the next piece of this puzzle. So that name specifically calls out Great Britain. What's that all about? Well, to understand this part, we have to completely switch gears. We're moving away from politics and into pure geography. And here is the absolute key difference. Great Britain is not a country. I'll say it again, not a country. It's not a political term at all. It is simply the name of an island, the biggest island in the whole chain of islands known as the British Isles. It's just a chunk of land. And this chart just lays it out perfectly, side by side. The UK is the political country, made up of 4 nations. Great Britain is the geographical island that's home to just 3 of them, England, Scotland, and Wales. And that is why Northern Ireland gets that special shout-out in the UK's full name. It's part of the political team, but it's not physically located on the main island of Great Britain. Okay, so let's zoom out one more step and look at the whole island chain. You've got the big island, Great Britain, with its 3 countries, and then right next to it you have the island of Ireland. Now this is another classic trip up because that one island is actually split between 2 different countries. You've got Northern Ireland, which as we know is part of the UK, and then you have the Republic of Ireland, which is its own totally separate independent country. Okay, so that clears up the local map, right? But what about the other weird stuff? Like, why is the British Queen or King on Canadian money? To get that, we have to zoom way out, beyond the islands, and look at the global legacy of the British Empire. And it all comes down to this really strange but kind of brilliant legal idea called the crown. Now, to even begin to understand the crown, you have to get your head around the sheer, mind-boggling scale we're talking about here. At its peak, the British Empire controlled nearly a quarter of the entire planet. And when an empire that massive dissolves, it doesn't just vanish into thin air. It leaves behind this incredibly complex web of legal ties and relationships, many of which still exist today. And the legal glue holding all of this together is the crown. Now, we're not talking about the sparkly, jewel-encrusted thing in the Tower of London. A better way to think of the crown is as a legal corporation, but a corporation that's run by just one person, the monarch. For 1,000 years, the idea has been that all the power of the state flows through this abstract entity. It sounds strange, I know, but it's an incredibly durable idea. So how does this crown thing actually connect to the modern world? Well, first up, you have the Commonwealth realm. This is a group of 15 totally independent countries. Think Canada, Australia, New Zealand. They all gained their freedom peacefully through diplomacy, not war. And as part of that deal, they agreed to keep the British monarch as their symbolic head of state. It's a nod to their shared history, connecting them all through the crown. All right, and then things get even weirder with the crown dependencies. These places like the Isle of Man or Jersey are not independent countries, but they're not really part of the UK either. They have their own governments and their own laws, which were given to them directly by the crown. The people there are British citizens, but they exist in this really unique legal gray zone. And finally, you've got the British Overseas Territories. Their old name really says it all. They used to be called crown colonies. These are basically the last direct remnants of the empire. They haven't become independent, so places like Gibraltar and the Falkland Islands are still constitutionally tied to the UK, which handles their defense and things like that. And anyone born there, they're a full British citizen. Okay, deep breath. That was a whirlwind tour through politics, geography, and a whole lot of imperial history. We've peeled back all the layers. So now, let's step back and put all the pieces together to see the final, complete picture. So think of it like this. It all starts with the geography, the actual islands called the British Isles. Sitting on those islands is the political country we call the United Kingdom. But the legal authority for that country, the Crown, is actually bigger than the country itself. The Crown acts as this invisible bridge connecting the UK to a whole global family of independent nations and dependent territories. All of them legacies of a shared and very complicated history. So there you have it. This isn't just some dusty history lesson. It's a living, breathing system of relationships that's been built up over 1,000 years. And that leaves us with one last really big question. In a world that's changing faster than ever before, how is this ancient, tangled, and truly one-of-a-kind structure going to adapt and evolve for the next 100 years?